Berkshire Hathaway's cash pile hits new record as Buffett dumps stocks. Okay, that's one headline. Here's another. 7.4 banks hide $7.4 trillion off sheet, echoing 2008 financial crash. And last but not least, 7% of U.S. banks are at risk of failure, warns a major consulting firm. Now, when you see these three headlines back to back to back, it gives you pause and makes you worry. I saw those three and my very first thought was, oh, goody, here comes another, housing crash. When I heard 2008, immediately when anybody hears 2008, I can guarantee we all think of the housing crash of 2008, not just the financial economic collapse, but mainly the housing collapse of 2008. And with the way things have been going the last few years with our housing market, it doesn't really surprise me if there is going to be a housing crash. Now, I pulled up a lot of different information here because Warren Buffett has done something that has scared a lot of people. He sold off a ton of stocks. Apple stocks, though, okay, which in itself is interesting to me that he sold off Apple stock, because Apple brings in a pretty penny for people who have stock in that. And for those of you who don't know who Warren Buffett is, just quickly, he's a 93-year-old man worth $132 billion. He is an American businessman, investor, and philanthropist who currently serves as the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. As a result of his investment success, Buffett is one of the best-known investors in the entire world. This man is 93 years old, and he's now selling off some of his stocks because at 93, he might want to be able to spend a little bit of the money that he's made over his lifetime, maybe retire and do something and enjoy a little bit of life. Although I can guarantee he's been enjoying life forever with the amount of money this man makes. According to this article that I came across, let me see if I can get this to pull up here because the service over here is not the best. Berkshire director says board may not give Buffett's successor Abel the same leeway. So, I was about to call him Jimmy Buffett, y'all. Warren Buffett is leaving, right? He's trying to step away, and he wants his successor to be able to take over the decision making for Berkshire Hathaway. It says a longtime Berkshire Hathaway director said Greg Abel, who is expected to succeed or secede. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say that. Secede. That means to pull apart, like when the succeed. Y'all, I don't know the correct pronunciation for that one. Either way, he's supposed to follow Warren Buffett as chief executive, may not get the same leeway from the conglomerate's board of directors to make acquisitions, which is a big deal, okay? Ronald Olson, a Berkshire director since 1997, said at an investing conference on Thursday that the board would not hand off Abel from making acquisitions or handcuff Abel from making acquisitions in his expected role in allocating Berkshire's capital. But he also said Abel's recent handling of difficult litigation against the billionaire Haslam family over the acquisition of truck stop chain Pilot Travel Centers cemented confidence in his leadership. It was the first time Olson, a lawyer, said he worked closely with Abel. So they're already letting you know that this person who's supposed to take over for Warren Buffett, they like the way basically that he is able to go out there and get what they want. Pilot Travel Centers. He was able to go out and broker this deal so they can take over Pilot Travel Centers. So they're going to give him leeway to do things. Now, Berkshire Hathaway, they've got their fingers in every friggin' thing, it seems. They are like the BlackRock vanguard of whatever. I don't even know what to call them. But they are everywhere. With Warren Buffett selling off some of his stock, a lot of people were worried that, that boded badly. I don't know if that's right either, for Berkshire Hathaway, but I don't think it does. Now, this other article that came out, 7% of U.S. banks at risk of failure, warns major consulting firm. We saw bank failures the last couple of years. Y'all remember Silicon Valley Bank, SVB? There was another one in New York. There were that I can't think of any of the names right now because I did not come fully prepared for that. I saw this and had a moment to record this and wanted to let you guys know. We know that these banks can fail. Now, as expected in the financial world, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, we like to call him the money printer. This is the thing. This is money printing, right? This isn't like the Arsenio Hall thing. This is money printing. So Jerome Powell, the money printer, announced no interest rate hikes or cuts. However, March's consumer price index, which is the CPI, rose 3.5%, surpassing expectations and accelerating inflation. Y'all remember when they said inflation was like on the dip and it was going down and we're going to hit that 2%? We hit that 2%. We're so excited without really explaining that 2% over, a couple months, even though it had risen 22% a couple months before that, wasn't really that great. Well, now they're saying it's up 3.5%. That's not good, y'all. The sudden surge in inflation is exerting pressure on banking institutions, leading to visible strains such as the significant losses reported by New York Community Bank and SoftBank Group, which may necessitate intervention. Responding to these alarming developments, consulting firm Claros Group undertook a comprehensive analysis of 4,000 U.S. banks to evaluate their vulnerability to failure. You know why there's a vulnerability of failure at these banks? Because at one point, banks were giving out loans willy-nilly, like freaking Tic Tacs. Oh, you want one? Here, have some. You want a Pez? Have some. They were giving out these loans to everybody under the sun with these really low interest rates, right? And everybody was gobbling them things up like there was no issue with it, like they weren't going to have to pay it back, like there wasn't going to be some loophole or some, scary factor in the future. Well, here we are in the future, and people are losing their jobs. Inflation's a bitch, and pay rates for people are not at all keeping pace with the inflation in the country. So now you have so many people defaulting on whether it's a car loan, a home loan, a personal loan, a student loan, all these different things. They're not able to keep money in the bank. So then these banks don't have money to turn around and use. Once you put your money in a bank, the bank then owns that money and they can use it for whatever they want until you try to take some back out and then they, move it around. It's like the banks play chess all the time. They're constantly moving pieces from here to there. I put in $5, you put in $5. They take, $9 total and they put it somewhere else. So we both still have $1, so it looks okay. But at the end of the day, they're moving everybody's money around and doing whatever with it. So when you have less people putting in money, because they don't have the paychecks coming in, you have less people paying their payments and paying interest, because that's the whole thing. The low interest rates, they still were making money off your interest. You have less people doing this. Then you have the Biden administration coming out saying, hey, listen, these fees that some of these banks are charging on their credit cards, and that credit card companies like Amex and Visa, MasterCard, Discover are charging for late payments. We're going to stop that. There's no more $29 or $39 payments. Now it's $8. We're capping it at $8. Well, now these banks are losing billions of dollars a year based off not getting those free monies from people who were having to pay these fees for either being late on a payment, going over limit, whatever it was. So the banks are hurting extra hard right now, which, if you want to go my route with my cynical optimist or optimistically cynical mind or conspiracy theorist mind, however you want to look at me, it doesn't, I'm one of those three for sure. It does not surprise me that the banks are going to be struggling. Now, was that the plan? Is that the plan, to make the bank struggle so that the government has to step in and do something about it? So then at some point in the future, the government literally runs everything. There is no Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan Chase. There's no Berkshire Hathaway. There's no BlackRock. There's no Vanguard. There's only government, and they've got their hands on everything, and you are now a pawn of the government 100%. Banks stopped doing loans the last year or two the way they were ahead, previous years before that, because of the fact that people were losing jobs and the housing market was doing just crazy up and down roller coaster stuff. Now, in order to get a home loan, you have to not only jump through hoops, you have to be able to suspend yourself in the middle of the air through those hoops, because they don't have the ability to give these loans out anymore with the interest rates on mortgages, whether it's a 30-year fix or it's how do you say it? The ARM? How amortized? I don't know the extended version of ARM, but a lot of people do ARM loans, which is, y'all, I am not a real estate agent. I'm never going to pretend to be one. I understand some of the words and I understand how some of it works, but I don't know how to explain it. So we're just going to keep on moving on that one. But you have these banks who have pulled back significantly from what they are willing to loan to people. And when they do loan it to people, the interest rates are exorbitant, because they know the people they have loaned these to can pay them. They have to be able to pull in money. They require money to live, to run. I mean, they're banks. All they do is it's money based. So when you have this thing saying that 7% of U.S. banks could fail, that's a huge deal. What if your bank happens to be part of that 7%? What happens to your money? I mean, FDIC insured stuff up to $250,000 is great, but if they don't have it and you've got more than that in a bank, you're screwed, right? This is my, don't keep all your eggs in one basket thing. I've talked about it before. I have bank accounts all over the place, not to hide things, but to make sure that if this bank goes out, I'm still safe here. If this account gets hacked, I'm still safe here. because you just never know. And I don't trust any of the banking institutions. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the banking institutions. There's a lot of things I don't trust, right? If you've been around for a while, y'all know how that works. And I'm pretty sure most of us are on the same page or in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. So Wells Fargo, I talked about them and how they changed. I'd had a free checking account since I opened it 15 years ago. It's been free. Well, because now they are floundering. I mean, Wells Fargo's been like shit for a very long time. I just happened to keep the account just in case, right? With very, very, very minimal money in it. But now that they are floundering, they are now implementing fees on everybody. There is no more free checking. It used to be you didn't have to have a specific balance. You didn't have to have direct deposit. You didn't have to meet any requirements. Now you have to meet requirements in order for it to be free. And those requirements went from, $500 in your account to $1,500 in your account, from, direct deposit once a month to you got to direct deposit twice a month, from you have to, again, a lot of hoops you have to jump through because they need to make their money back. So 7% of banks failing does not surprise me at all. And that actually bothers me. When you hear these things and you're like, I'm not surprised. That's never a good thought to have. At no point in life should we, as citizens of the United States of America, have such cynical thoughts about our government and our country. And yet here we are. And I know I'm not alone in this. And that's even worse, that I'm not alone in this. I would much rather be the only person in this country going, they're here to screw us over. They're trying to screw us over. They want our money. They want our land. They want us to own nothing and be happy. They want to cram us in 15-minute cities like freaking little sardines. They don't, they want us only shopping at Walmart. They want everything being pumped in from China. And then I don't want to be like this, and I don't want the rest of us to be like this. But unfortunately, this is the world we live in right now, and I don't love it. So another thing that this article... So I pulled this up today. There was an annual meeting over the weekend, and this is a recap of Warren Buffett's comments at the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. I hope I come next year. That's what he said. And I'm not going to make a that's what she said joke because that's inappropriate. So Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting Saturday had some somber moments as Warren Buffett reflected on the passing of his longtime partner, Charlie Munger, last year and wrestled with the possibility of his own mortality. Sir, you're 93. You're definitely going to die at some point. You're 93. You've been alive forever. So I know a little about actuarial tables. I don't even know how to say that. He joked at one moment. Is that a joke? Actuarial tables? Is that a joke? Maybe it's because I'm not in the Berkshire Hathaway Warren Buffett circle. I don't understand how that's funny because I don't understand what that means. Maybe that's why it's funny. I don't know. However, he reassured investors that a plan was in place and revealed for the first time that Greg Abel, his successor, would be making the call on investing decisions. So, like we said, this Greg Abel guy will be taking over for Warren Buffett, will be making all the decisions on investing. What are the odds he goes completely different than what Warren Buffett had done? You don't know what's going to happen when you move from one person at the helm to the next person at the helm. You can have one captain who says, hey, listen, there's a storm that way, so we're going to head this way instead. We're going to steer clear of a storm. You have another captain who's like, let's get it, boys and girls, and they head directly to the storm to prove that they can get through it. Who do you want as the captain of your ship? Like, that's the main question. Do you want the person who heads straight into danger and goes, I'm sure we'll be fine? Or do you want the person who sees the danger and goes, you know what, we're going to go this direction instead? You have no clue what's going to happen with this guy, Greg Abel, who's taking over for Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway. We'll just have to wait and see, right? Now, he also fielded numerous questions from Berkshire Hathaway shareholders. Notably, Buffett explained why Berkshire sold off some of its Apple stock, and he revealed a losing bet on Paramount. You guys ever see the Paramount station, Paramount Plus? He's saying it's a losing bet there. The Berkshire chairman and CEO also reflected on developments in the quickly evolving field of artificial intelligence and praised Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's work steering the economy. Steering the economy. Again, is Jerome Powell the guy who's like, there's the horrible weather, let's go straight into it? Or is Jerome Powell doing hey, there's the bad stuff, let's go around it? Depends on who you ask, the 1% or the 99%, because they're both going to have different answers with how they feel Jerome Powell has been steering the economy. Now, according to this other, and FYI, this is what Warren Buffett looks like. I got to say though, dude looks good for 93. He doesn't look like most 93-year-olds I have seen. I've seen maybe like 5 or 6. I don't know many 93-year-olds, but he looks good for 93. So that's a plus, right? He says, I not only hope you come next year, I hope I come next year, he said, laughing. And I'm a child and I can't read that sentence without that's what she said, that's what he said jokes in my brain. Not a big deal. Now, according to this, Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting, Buffett called Powell a very wise man. However, he noted the central bank needs help from lawmakers to rein in the growing U.S. deficit. When you let laws take over everything, just understand laws take over everything. When you let people put their hands in the cookie jar who shouldn't have hands in the cookie jar, bad things happen. You get crap cookies, okay? Powell doesn't control fiscal policy, and every now and then he sends out a disguised plea because that's where the trouble will be if we have it. That's a Buffett quote. I don't fully understand what he's saying there, but it's fine. Now, this one's interesting to me. Berkshire Hathaway will continue to fight lawsuits brought against electric power company Pacificor, more than 90% of which is owned by the Buffett-owned company. We have talked about them previous videos, probably about 6 or 7 months ago. I'll see if I can find the ones and link them at the end. If not, don't hate me. There's a lot of videos on this channel. Now, when I think about of Pacificor, we're in a place where first and foremost, all that litigation will be challenged because the basis for it, at least we believe, there are places where it's unfounded. This is according to Greg Abel, the one who's taking over for Warren Buffett, and we'll continue to challenge it. Now, for those of you who are like, what the hell is she talking about? Pacificor is facing $30 billion in new claims that made last month from 1,000 different plaintiffs who blamed the company for causing the 2020 Labor Day wildfires in Oregon. Now that's the reason I'm mentioning this to you is because they are saying that the power lines and everything else are what caused those wildfires 2020 in Oregon. Y'all remember the wildfires just a few months ago in Texas? And they said it was because it all started from a downed power line. Y'all remember Lahaina? And they said it all started from a downed power line. And then everybody's going after the electric companies. What happens at the end of the day? Do we no longer have electric companies and we just have government controlling electricity? How is this going to work? Because if these companies continuously have to pay out, they will go broke or your rates will go so incredibly high that you can't afford it. You won't have electricity. You won't have heat. And what's interesting with all of this is our government is pushing us to everything electric. At the same time, all of the electric companies are getting raked over the coals, dragged over the coals for all of these different wildfires and are having to pay out billions upon billions of dollars. I want you to understand the irony here. The government wants you going electric, and yet everything that's going bad is being blamed on electric. Understand that. It's not blamed on, some propane tank exploded and started all the fires. Lahaina wasn't a propane tank. It wasn't, natural gas. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was electric. That's what they're saying. Or whatever you want to call it. Texas wildfires wasn't a propane tank that exploded, wasn't natural gas, wasn't anything like that. It was electric, according to them. Same thing with Oregon. Same thing with the wildfires that started in Canada. Same thing with California fires all the time. They continuously blame it on electric. At the same time, they continuously push us towards electric. It's because at the end of the day, all these companies, all these electric companies, they're going to go belly up because they cannot continue paying out. The government's going to take over and the government will control your heating, your lights, if you can get in and out of your car, if your car runs. Y'all, that's all I got. Okay. There's more, but I think I've talked to you too much already. We've done too much because we've already been here almost 20 minutes and I know y'all have stuff to do today and we could do this more. If you guys are interested in these kind of conversations, hiccup, let me know. I know not everybody is, but I find these things fascinating and it helps me learn more. And the more I get to talk to you guys, the more I get to learn, the more I get to understand, the more I get to connect the dots, and the more I can see like more of the bigger picture. It's like the puzzle. You find the pieces and you get the outline first. At least that's how I do it. I try to get the outline of a puzzle. And then I work on filling in the middle. And that's kind of what all of these videos are to me, is us putting together the outline. Like we can see the government is, y'all know. And so you look at the outline, you go, okay, well, if this is what they're trying, if this is like the borders of it, what's going in the middle? And then you start finding all these other things. You're like, well, this goes here, this goes here. And at the end of the day, your puzzle's complete. And you're like, well, shit. At least that's how it feels. So I will continue doing the videos that I like to do, but I also want to know if you guys enjoy these kinds of stuff, or do you prefer only, food related stuff? I mean, I can do that, but I really like a little bit of everything. Smorgasbord of stuff. I hope you guys are having a fabulous Monday. My dudes, I am sitting in my hot Jeep right now and my legs are sweating on the seat, and that's gross. And the downside to summer in leather seats. So that's that. Listen, I hope you guys are doing great. I really do. I'm sorry I got a little, it happens. I've had coffee today, not tea. I had a little bit of coffee, and it's definitely way more caffeine than I normally have, and I'm feeling it. It's fine. I love y'all. I'll see you again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye.